Hi everyone, and good morning from the farm. As you can see, the tiny sunflowers have bloomed, and they are very tiny. I'll show you my hand, but they're super cute. So not a loss, but definitely didn't do what we were hoping they were going to do. But they're super cute, and they've done really well in flower arrangements. Flowers are really taking off now as far as zinnias and cosmos. The balsam has switched over to seed pod making. That's what all of these little things are. Those are your seed pods. But everything flower-wise is looking really good. They are slowing down a bit, but that's okay. This row of green beans we have let hang out, and we're actually going to pick green beans today because we have plenty to pick, it looks like. So they have revived. I think finally getting a reprieve from that heat has made a big difference. You'll remember we did cut one row, but if you'll look, they're actually coming back out. So that's a green bean plant right there, and some of them down the way are coming back out. So I'm curious to see what happens there, as to whether they'll do something before we decide to put something else in that row. Butterbeans are looking much better than they were, actually starting to bloom again. I'm going to pick those here in a second. You can see now that we're starting to get cooler weather, we're back to getting green pods. So we'll probably actually have several pickings off of those. But they're looking much better for sure. I'm over here to the peanuts. They're still doing their thing. You can see they've expanded back out where I cut the grass. So I assume they appreciated me doing that. Still a good ways to go before we'll actually have any. If you look at the cotton, I'm seeing lots of blooms down here. Look, there's one that's real tight. There's one down there. So it's super happy. I actually have never grown cotton that's this tall. So look at this really dark one. Very pretty. But we should get a really high yield out of that. The pumpkins are looking amazing. So I'm thinking that the diatomaceous earth was definitely a winner. Definitely part of the success here. If you can see, it has grabbed onto the cotton, so I'm gonna move it over and get it to go back this way. I don't want it climbing up my cotton. I'd rather it stay down the row. We have lost a few plants, but that's okay. You only need so many pumpkins for Halloween, because these aren't eating pumpkins, these are decorating pumpkins. The ones down there towards the end, whatever variety those were, I think may have been a little more susceptible to the squash bugs. It also is closer to the squash bugs, so that may have had something to do with it. But we may not get much out of that end. The grass has really taken over. If you'll remember, in this section right through here, there are sweet potato vines. I don't know that I want to go down through the weeds to try and get to them right now. Let's see if we can. Well, there's sweet potato vines down there. Just trust me on that. You can see the marigold hedge starting to look a little worse for wear. Basil's still looking great right there. There's some more basil over here. There's more basil right here. There's more basil down here. So definitely been a good year for basil. Marigolds on this end aren't looking as bad. But grass has definitely been an issue. You can see here how tall the grass is around those pumpkin plants. And with this coming week being much cooler, we'll work on that a little bit more. I'm not too terribly concerned with grass in my garden or weeds in my garden, simply because things still grow. So I don't know that I need to spend the time and energy taking care of the grass when I could take care of the plants instead. So that's just my theory on that. But if you'll look here, so our pepper plants, they are a little yellow, so I do think I need to bring some fertilizer out. But if you'll look, they're not only blooming, but look, they're making little peppers. So those are poblano plants. And you'll see down here some more pimentos, some more purple peppers. Tomatoes have pretty much given up. I did take clippings and they are rooting at my house, so I can put some new plants out, and I'll put a clip in of that to show you how that worked and what I did. Down that way, remember, squash and zucchini are done. Baby corn is now done. These zinnias are now taking off, and some of them with massive blooms. For some reason, this section right here, they're just huge. So they've been really pretty. There's a nice little peach one. Don't have a lot of butterflies out this morning. It's really wet, so their wings are probably still trying to dry out before they get out here. You'll see down there, see that purple? Some morning glories down there. If you look right here, this is one of the other basils that I planted that somehow survived not only being neglected, but also, if you'll remember, I messed all this space up to plant my zinnias here, so it survived all of that happened to it. Cucumbers on their last leg. They might come back out now that it's getting cooler, but I doubt it. Of course, the corn is done. We'll be taking that up shortly and replacing it probably with peas, with green peas. The sunflowers are really showing off now. You'll see that little orangey red one and tons of yellow ones. A really tall one back there. They've done really well for being over here where I do believe they didn't get enough sun. So they're kind of spindly and not as hardy as one would have hoped, but they have put on quite the show. But anyways, not a whole lot to report this week. Not much has changed. We'll start definitely the next couple of days planning some new things, so turning these beds over. I'll try to get some footage of that to show you. But like I said, the most exciting thing this week is the fact that it looks like we have saved most of these pumpkins. So I used dish soap and water, and I sprayed that under and on top of all the leaves, and then I dusted them really heavily with diatomaceous earth. I will probably do that again because I see right there some more squash bug eggs. So I will probably try that again and see if we can get them to survive long enough to give us at least a pumpkin. If you look here, you actually can see the beginnings of a baby pumpkin. It's super tiny, about the size of probably, I'd say maybe some couscous, like a little couscous pearl. But we do have the beginnings of a pumpkin, which is super exciting. That means there's probably more down in there. Those plants are a little bit bigger. But yeah, pumpkins, definitely the star of the show this week, and of course the cotton. I'm trying to see if there was any. I don't see any of the buds yet that will actually have the cotton in them, but definitely a gorgeous plant. Here's one right here. Lots of bird activity this morning. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, birds and the bugs. They're very excited for this cooler morning. It's only about 75 degrees right now, which is probably the first time we've had a 75-degree morning in several months. And it's lovely for a change. But anyways, nice little short video for you today. I did want to make sure that I updated you on where we were. Not a lot has changed, but still been some changes. And like said, we'll be doing a lot more this coming week, so I'll try to get some clips of that for you and actually show you how I plant things, how I turn these beds over. But thanks for coming along every week and hanging out. If you like what you see, please like. If you have any comments, please comment and let me know. I'd love to have a conversation about anything that you see, any questions you may have. I am by no means an expert gardener, so there's always more to learn. So if you would, leave a comment, get a conversation started about something, that'd be great. If you have any other suggestions for these pumpkin plants to try and keep the squash bugs away, that last a little bit longer than the soap and the diatomaceous earth, I'd be glad to hear it. If you grow cotton, I'd love to see what yours looks like. Do you grow the same variety? If you grow peanuts, are your plants as crazy this year as these are? But anyways, thanks for coming along and sticking with me. If this is the first time you're seeing a garden video, I encourage you to go back and watch the older ones. Some of them have quite a bit of good information in them and hopefully help you with your gardening endeavors. But anyways, I'm going to get to working. I'm going to pick some butter beans and some green beans and probably call it a day. But I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll leave you with these little baby sunflowers and some sounds of the farm.